It is wintertime, and that comes with some tough times for certain people. I know I have struggled a lot in the past with winter and seasonal sadness, but in the last few years, I've really thrived in the winter. And although I appreciate every season, I've just come to love this time of year. I just wanted to share that with you and hopefully help you also enjoy this time of year and thrive as well. The first thing that I think is the most easily accessible and important when thriving in the winter is to romanticize. Romanticize the winter season. I think in a way this is tricking your mind into enjoying winter because you're able to romanticize certain aspects of things that maybe you didn't like previously about the season. I personally love to romanticize the more mundane parts of life. It just makes everything more enjoyable and makes me feel more grateful overall for every season of life that I go through. So first, with romanticizing, I think it's important to focus on the positives. I know it's hard, especially when we're in these winter slumps, but there is certain things that we're only able to do in the winter. Winter is a hibernation period. It's a time of rest and winding down, letting yourself have a deep rest in preparation for spring and summer, so you can really go full out for those seasons. But I have just come to love that about winter. It's the one time a year, the one season where you can fully slow down and hibernate and not feel guilty because it's cold out. Viewing winter as hibernation has helped me a lot. It makes me feel much less guilty about maybe not accomplishing as much as I do in other seasons. When I do say romanticize, I think the first thing that comes to mind is creating an ambiance. This just makes things feel more luxurious and cozy. So think simple things like lighting candles and getting some new warm lighting for your room or your house. If you do have a fireplace, then that's the perfect time to, of course, light fires. It creates such a cozy ambiance. And even if you don't have a fireplace, something that I do sometimes is I just put a fireplace ambiance on YouTube, on the TV. It just creates a warm, cozy feeling in your house. It's still just nice to hear and to see in the background. They have so many ambiance videos on YouTube, ones with classical or jazz music. I personally love the cafe ones too. And that's a really good way to just create a environment that's very warm and welcoming and stimulate some joy for you in this cold, dark season. Something else that I think is really fun to create an ambiance is to maybe thrift new home decor. Since you're spending more time indoors, it's really fun to kind of rearrange things and maybe add some new pieces into your house. I ended up rearranging my whole room this winter, and I've been so motivated to kind of do some clean outs and some projects around the house that I haven't gotten to, just because you're spending so much more time indoors, and making sure your environment is very warm, cozy, and welcoming will help a lot to kind of prevent that winter sadness. My favorite part about creating ambiance or just cozy feelings during the winter is to make so many warm drinks. This is such an easy, accessible thing to do. I honestly make probably 2 to 3 warm drinks a day during the winter, and it fuels me for the day. It makes me have something to look forward to every day, and you can also experiment with new warm drinks. I personally have either a cup of coffee or a warm tea in the mornings, and then I have a midday tea, and then I'll have like hot cacao or a nice herbal tea at night as well. It's so nice to hold a warm mug and just have that little pleasure during the day to look forward to. Keeps me happy, keeps my body happy. So nourishing warm drinks are a game changer for the wintertime. And I can't believe I used to just not give myself that little pleasure. The hardest part for me with romanticizing is putting on cute outfits or pajamas if I'm spending the day at home. I kind of do struggle with this, to be honest, and it's something that I know would make me feel better, but I lack the motivation a lot of the time to do it. Probably only a couple times a week do I really feel the motivation if I'm just going to be working from home or being at home. So that's something I want to work on, because when I do put on a cuter, cozy outfit, I do always feel so much better, and it kind of makes me want to do more. But if you do have the energy on a certain day, I promise it will make you feel so much better. It doesn't have to be super crazy. It could just be a matching loungewear set, and it will just make you feel so much more motivated. And my last tip for romanticizing is, if you're struggling to find the motivation to do these things, or maybe you just need a visual inspiration, making Pinterest boards is so fun and easy, and it's something that I love to do in this time of year. And if you're feeling a little under the weather and like you can't really do anything, then maybe just laying in bed and making a Pinterest board with things that you'd like to do this winter season or pictures that just resonate with you, that could be really fun and promote some inspiration and motivation for you as well. The next thing, which I think is super important, is to have cozy hobbies. This is also the only time of year when we really have all this extra time to give to our hobbies. We're inside more, we tend not to go outside as often, so this is the perfect time to practice a new hobby or pick up one that you used to practice. It will also make you feel more accomplished because you were practicing these hobbies. Maybe you crochet and you can finish a crochet project, and it just makes you feel good. You did a project, you got something done. My favorite cozy hobbies during the winter are, of course, reading. This is when I do the most reading. I just have so much extra time, so I get to read all of my more fantasy and cozy fantasy books. It's super fun to just curl up with a book and a warm drink. This is also the only time of year really that I play on my Nintendo Switch, and of course I just play Animal Crossing. It's just a super good way to unwind at night, and it's good to just have these things during the day, these little daily rituals to look forward to. So in those moments of feeling a little down, you have certain things that you can visit throughout the day to make yourself feel better. There's really so much cozy hobbies. There's scrapbooking, journaling, other sorts of gaming. You can watch movies or TV shows. It's a good time to binge watch TV shows that maybe you've wanted to finish, and yeah, just really go all out. In a few months, this season will be over and we'll be back into our more active times of year, and we won't have all this extra time to give to these more slow and comforting hobbies. Going along with hobbies or just stimulating the mind, learning a new skill or maybe even a new language could be really fun. There's so many things that I always say that I want to learn, and this is also something I struggle with kind of getting the motivation to do, but it could be a really good time to start one of those. I also forgot to mention in the romanticizing is to take hot showers and baths, and I don't feel guilty for partially probably burning off my skin with how hot my showers are during this time of year, but it's so cold, and to just have a nice hot shower and feel the hot water on your back, it's the best feeling ever, and probably the best thing you can do for yourself when you are feeling down in the dumps. The next category I have is mind and body, and this is probably the most difficult one and the one that gets neglected in the end because January is a pretty hard time, as well as February. It's very cold and dark, and it's hard to really want to take care of yourself in those ways. I do feel like if you did the romanticizing and are practicing your cozy hobbies, then maybe this will be a little more accessible to you because you're already in a better state of mind. I do just want to say, if you're struggling with this, it's okay, and it's so normal to feel sad and unmotivated during this time of year. I think giving myself that reassurance helps me a lot. But this is a hibernation period. This is meant to slow down, so you shouldn't really be doing as much. It's okay to not do too much. You shouldn't feel guilty about extra rest during this time of year. Ways that I support my mind during the winter when I'm feeling down is to first, of course, let myself have the extra rest, but I also love to journal and reflect a lot in the wintertime, as well as deepen into my yoga practice and more meditation. My yoga practice looks a lot different in the winter. It's a lot more stretchy and slow, which I think supports my body the best in this season. Although I don't do my practice every day, I do feel motivated some days to move my body. It's still nice to know that when I do go to my mat, it's going to be a slow, more chill practice. I love to meditate with candles during the winter time. I just feel so called to it during this time of year in the darkness, is to just light a couple candles or a single candle and just sit in front of it and meditate with that flame. Any practice that is super slow and intentional during this time of year helps me in my mind the most. I've also been going on tons of hikes when it's not raining. When it's raining, it's a little more difficult for me, but on these sunny, cold days, I do go on hikes and it just supports my body a lot, and it's still nice to get that fresh air. Also, the plus side is that the sun in the winter is the most rewarding feeling ever. Just to feel the sun on your skin with the cold air is just so healing, and I love to do this in the wintertime. I always feel so good after my walks, and I go throughout the day with a more peaceful mind and just a better overall well-being. And this is a bonus for certain people who feel called to it, but cold water plunges are very healing and therapeutic. If you have access to a cold water plunge near you or a river or any sort of water source, that can be really healing when you're feeling very numb and lethargic. I personally do it when I feel very stagnant and unmotivated. It always makes me feel so alive and rejuvenated and motivated for anything and everything. It is very difficult though, and should be done with caution if you live somewhere super cold as well. Make sure that you have access to either your warm car or your house is close by. Just be safe. I think another fun way to help your mind and body is to make nourishing, hearty meals. This is soup season. I love making soups during this time of year. They're so warming for the body and you can really eat in season very easily. It's also fun to bake a whole bunch. I bake so much at this time of year, and this year has been the most I've ever baked in my life. It's just so fun and makes your house smell really good. The last thing for mind and body, and I'm not a doctor, please don't take this advice very seriously, but if you have found that you're deficient in this vitamin or you've talked to your doctor already about this, then I recommend taking a vitamin D supplement. I personally got my blood tested and I am very low in vitamin D. Of course, in this time of year, most of us are, especially if you live somewhere a little more gloomy, then you probably are low in vitamin D. But like I said, I'd recommend talking to your doctor, maybe getting some blood work done to make sure you're actually deficient in it before you start taking it. And vitamin D is super important for your mood. A deficiency in vitamin D can actually cause you to feel very down in the dumps. So those are all of my tips and tricks for how I have learned to thrive in the wintertime. I love this time of year now, and it's a super restorative time for my mind and body. Every season we are so gifted with certain things that we can do. Every season has its pros and cons, but we are so blessed to get to experience all of these changes throughout the year. Nature and the earth is always in this constant cycle and are always changing, so it's fun to just sit back and watch the earth do its thing and just flow with it instead of trying to fight it. I love to flow with the seasons. It's made me so much more happy overall, and I love winter. It's so fun. Such a cozy time. So I hope you found this video helpful in some way. Enjoy yourself this season and let yourself really take it slow. Thanks for watching and being here and listening to me yap.